Hi, you guys. I just wanted to come on and say this real quick. It has been on my mind for the last few days. So much is happening, and to an extent, I'm always transparent. But at the same time, there has to be balance in all things and boundaries. And so, a lot of what I'll share today does have a lot to do with what is taking place in my life currently. It's also a collective energy, and I'm just speaking in general. The first thing that is coming to mind the most, though, is space holding. Like, I am really learning in these last few weeks of this first of this year, the first months of this year, who's solid and who's not. And it's funny because I'm the type of person who I'm always holding space for others, and I love being a safe space to do that. One of the things that I got asked a few years back when I first started my business was how do we know we're getting the healer Mia versus Mia or friend Mia? Well, eventually the two begin to intertwine. That's with anything that you do. When you become a part of the dance, when you are a dancer, you allow the dance to become a part of you. You intertwine those things, you integrate, and you synergize these things. So you're going to always get some aspect of healer me no matter what you do. The other thing about that is I always blessed and cursed the fact that my discernment is top tier. And when I say that, I mean because there are times when Spirit is allowing me to discern situations, people, and places. And me being and having the heart that I have for the people, I sometimes will overlook what truths and discernment they're giving me about people, places, and things. That being said, I am learning in this season who is solid and who's not. A lot has been happening in terms of like personal, my family. My sister has recently had to have a major life changing surgery. My daughter was sick recently, and I just am getting home 2 hours ago from the hospital again just to make sure she didn't have strep throat and COVID. It's a lot going on. And I say that from a carnal perspective, and I say that from a secular perspective, because there will always be people out here preying on your downfall. I don't focus on the negative because that's just the reality of this, dimension in any aspect of life. It's going to always be somebody, who doesn't want to see the best in you, doesn't want you to have the best, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, I don't worry about those things, but I very much am aware of how and when and what to do to keep me and my loved ones safe, body, mind, and soul. Take it how you want it. That's your business. I am not responsible for how the universe and my ancestors choose to protect me and show up in other people's lives. Now, a lot of us also collectively have been wanting to be around a certain type of people, wanting to move away from certain type of things. I personally feel like what's happening in collective, that's exactly what's happening. We ask to be around more of like-minded, coming into our soul tribe, those people, places, and things that will help to keep us vibrating in a higher state and allowing us to expand and become more aware and enlightened as to who we are. Be comfortable with who that is. Individuality is so underrated. I can't be anyone other than who I am, and you shouldn't want to be anything other than who you are, because you could never. And let people know that as well, okay? They could never be you. And you don't compare where you don't, you can't compete where you don't compare. It's true. And for me, it's never about competition. I don't care. It's nothing wrong with it, depending on what it is. But as it relates to life, honey, I don't know what you've been through to get where you at, what you got, and where you going. And I don't know what you got to do to maintain it. That I know where I'm at. Mind the business that pay you. So when you allow yourself to be vulnerable and you're sharing, because this is what has happened, I have been finding myself, allowing myself to be vulnerable and let down my guard and share things I had some recent unexpected things occur with my health. And it was a lot to process. And in the same week that I found out this, I allowed myself to be vulnerable, and I shared that with someone who I felt was a safe space to share. And I'm not, putting any blame or at fault on anybody, but I knew what the outcome of the conversation was going to be, but it was on my heart to share it, because you always want to give people an opportunity to decide for themselves whether, they want to be bothered, or this is something for them and this is something, or it's not. Doesn't matter the dynamic, whether it, is platonic, is work related, or romantically related. But I already knew what the outcome would be. And I didn't trust that for trying to stay in a vulnerable, open-minded, open-hearted state and space. And, we can't get upset with, the person on the other end receiving news. But it's like you kind of wonder, where they're at in their mind, in their thoughts. Like I said, I'm a very honest person. I'm a very blunt individual. That is the problem. That's why my circle is small, because I'm not going to bite my tongue. It ain't going to be no filters. Don't come talking to me, asking me if you don't want to know and want to keep it a buck. Period. Now, that doesn't mean I can't be empathetic and not hold space, because again, that is something that I do. But I know how to look at things from a detached perspective, which is why my discernment is top tier. However, when it comes to me personally, again, sometimes, we avoid or ignore what is truth for the sake of wanting to just be where we're at. So these are some of the things that have been coming to my mind. But quantum leaping back, circling back, bringing it back. A lot of us ask to be put in a position where we are around those type of people. A lot of the things that is happening in your life is because you're about to walk into that space. You're about to come into those things that will keep you grounded, will keep you centered, will keep you up, And that doesn't mean that you're better than anyone, but you outgrow people, places, and things all the time. You're not in a season in your life where this is not the case, okay? So no matter how hard it may seem, no matter how hard it may feel at this time, know that you're not doing anything wrong. Something big and something better is definitely happening because of all of the chaos, the conflict, the stress, the changes that don't feel so comfortable. You grow through change, and a lot of times it's uncomfortable. So don't think you've done anything wrong, but just know, in order to get to this place, fresh start, new lifestyle, new family, new friends, whatever it is, because a lot of you may be isolated, whether it's voluntary or involuntarily. People are being removed, things are being removed, places, you name it. It is starting to dwindle or crumble. Things aren't working out the way that you expected or intended. That's because it's time to let it go and release. And this full moon in Virgo is definitely the perfect time to release and let go of those things that are no longer serving you. The only behavior that is acceptable at this point is changed behavior. But you have to be courageous and bold enough to step into it. We cannot let fear keep us from the best parts of who we are and experience the best parts of life that we rightly deserve. That is our innate birthright. So also, Virgo full moon, Virgo energy is about your health. So do what you can. Make sure you're listening to your body, how it's speaking to you, things that you can do. It's not just the physical, health is your mental, emotional, and spiritual awareness as well. So make sure you're tapping in and you're tuning in and you're doing and moving in the way that will allow you to thrive, more than anything. We want you, and I want you to do well, be well, live well. Okay? So, I hope you guys have a great weekend.